We live in a time of incredible technological abundance and potential, yet so many of us are exhausted by a system that often feels rigged against us. What if we had the freedom to create a society that truly benefits us all? A brighter, more sustainable future we all want. And the only way we're going to get it is together. Welcome to Connection, a talk show where we bring together experts, community members, leaders, and innovators to discuss and co create solutions for a better world. My name is Jordan Barber, and I am the founder of The Green Print, where the motto is play together, change the world. We are a 501c3 organization whose mission is to create a virtual game platform that lets us co create our futures. Utilizing gameplay, we help communities work collectively toward solving issues like social injustice, affordable housing, food insecurity, climate change, and economic inequality. The Green Print game allows communities to see the impact of their planning decisions in real time while taking ownership of the choices and solutions made. Alongside our game platform, we also co create futures and build community through our youth education programs and our documentary work. So while we are working on the game development, our first step toward co creation is you. Connection is a space carved out for you to be creative and to share your voice, wisdom, and innovative ideas for a better world. In fact, we encourage you to answer the same questions we ask of our guests today. Please answer our questions with your hometown or current town in mind and share on your favorite social using hashtag create the green print. Hashtag create the green print. All right. Today, we are bringing together people from all four of our land sites globally for the first time to forge lasting relationships and to start the co-creation process. In order to rebuild our communities, we must look at the past and present of actual land sites. And that's what today's connection is all about, land. So we're bringing people together from our four different land sites, and they're going to share stories of the past, insights on the climate of the present, and their dreams for the future. The four regions we all work together on are Nairobi, Kenya, Los Angeles, California, Georgetown, South Carolina, and Little Bighorn, Montana. And I'm going to now introduce the Green Print team that's going to help facilitate this question and host as well. So first, I think we can stop to share the screen as you guys come on. And first, we're going to have co-founder Colleen Gregor from the Green Print. Colleen, come on.
Oh, hi. Good morning.
Hello. Morning.
How are you? Yeah, so we're going to be talking about Baldwin Hills, Los Angeles, and I have two amazing guests that are going to be joining us. I think Jamaica Marshall, if you could introduce yourself and a bit about where you're from and also what kind of work you do in Los Angeles, that would be great. You can turn your camera on and say hello.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jamaica Marshall. I am a nonprofit executive here in Los Angeles. I was born and raised here in Los Angeles and by way of a couple places. So I've lived in the South, I've lived in DC, I've lived in the Bay Area. I went to college in the Bay Area. And so I have a pretty strong love for the city because I can't live anywhere else. I always make my way back here because kind of spoiled. The question, what kind of work I do? I'm social justice, policy, and social services organizations. And I lead up one who does something similar right now. So I'm happy to be here and happy to be a part of the conversation.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. So yeah, we're going to be looking at, let me just share my screen again. So we're going to be talking today for the Los Angeles portion about Baldwin Hills and about the Watts area of Los Angeles and just little things about Baldwin Hills. The land that we found there is a piece of land that is up for sale. So we don't actually have access to this piece of land. It would be quite difficult for the Greenprint as a nonprofit to acquire pieces of land in Los Angeles since they are, you know, upwards of $13 million. But we would love to envision what could be used, I mean, what that land could be used for other than what it probably will be used for, which could be another Erewhon market or, you know, another skyrise building. So it'd be great to think about what kind of community spaces could be there. Could it be, you know, a farm? Could it be a place for youth education, other activities? So this is a little bit about Baldwin Hills, some images, but we're going to dive deeper into Baldwin Hills in our breakout room. So passing it on over to Ariella, she'll introduce Little Bighorn, Montana, and her guests.
Hello, Takma Sahochafoa, Ariella Gahan, Chickasaw Saya. So what I just said was in Chickasaw, and so I said I'm a member of the Chickasaw Nation, and my name is Ariella Gahan. My tribe is based in Oklahoma. I was born and raised, however, in Northern California. My family has moved over here in the early 1850s, so we've been here for quite a while. And I will be talking about one of our guest speakers' land, Farron's land allotment that he has in southeast Oklahoma near the Battle of Little Bighorn site in Little Bighorn County, Montana. And so Farron, if you would like to introduce yourself, I can either read your bio or if you would like to talk, it's totally up to you.
I'm still learning about this technology. Well, I was born and raised on a reservation, and in the poor side of it, I guess. Much of the reservation is in poverty, and there's only a few that really live in the upper core through the political system. And years later, I realized why we were poor. And I became a political activist, and I worked for the tribal government at times, and primarily nonprofits also. And later on, I became a paraminister, and that's basically what I do along with promoting this land, this dream that I have for the property. It's a significant piece of property that can really serve the victors of the battle, the Cheyenne, the Sioux, and the Arapaho. And that's been my dream for years. It was 171 acres, but I've donated 40 acres so far, 20 to the Sioux chief, the primary Sioux chief, named Marvel Looking Horse, and 20 acres in the process of donating 20 acres to the Northern Cheyenne tribe. And I'm hoping that I can create a coalition among the others to develop it into a ceremonial and a camping area. I think a park, some kind of a park. I'm not exactly too sure exactly what I'm going to do with it. But I'm also thinking about eventually promoting a ceremony, not a ceremony, an interpretive center. So it's been a long process in my dream, and I think I'm hoping that these people that I've already contacted over the years from the Sioux and the Cheyenne would be able to come and see the vision, that it's really not my vision, but I'm hoping that they would also take it as theirs. So that's what I've been focusing on for the last 3 decades concerning this property, along with my political activism. I hope to change our government system, but it's been a long process, and many of our people have left because of the system that we've been subjected to. And my hope is that someday we can bring in an entity like the Transparency International to help us transform our government. And that's basically it.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. And Donovan, if you would like to go now. In the meantime, I can put his bio up.
Donovan, is your mic on? Ariel, maybe just tell us about Donovan.
Yeah, perfect. So I could pull his bio up.
Could you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Uh, I took it upon myself to construct a sweat lodge ceremony on a piece of this land. I didn't know that there was a certain area on the land, but this is most accessible. It might be Orville Looking Horse's land, or it might be some of the Cheyenne land. But the main thing is just to construct this for all the ones that been given this land for recreation and ceremonial doings and whatever maybe like interpretive center. Since I used to be an interpretive park ranger at the battlefield 1994, 95. I also been an Apsáalooke tour guide for the Little Bighorn College there in Crow Agency. And it's really neat to go out on the land. It's really interesting because this is, to me, I'm looking at it as groundbreaking. Be having a groundbreaking ceremony next week for all aspects of this project that Farron has going, and also for our vision too as well. Like he said, to promote unity and direction for the future of the land itself. And I'm sure that there's other entities out there like Friends of the Little Bighorn, and there's also a visitor center that they're constructing as of now as we speak. So, but this is a different entity upon Farron's vision.
Thank you, Donovan. And he's also an author. So him and another additional author are going to be, they wrote and they collected a lot of oral stories about the Battle of Little Bighorn and about the land. And so that will be coming out soon. But other than that, thank you so much for having us. And I will pass it off to Max.
Yes.
Thank you, Ariella. Hello, everyone. My name is Max. I am a game developer based here in Nairobi, Kenya. We develop educational games. And our family is from Machakos. So I was born in Mombasa, but our family really comes from Machakos, Kenya. And I'll tell you a little bit about Machakos, Kenya, then I'll introduce our guests who are both from Kisumu. So that might be what we talk about today mostly because that's where the guests are from. So a little bit about Machakos County. It's one of the oldest towns in Kenya. It used to be the administrative center back when Kenya was still a colony. And it only then was it moved to Nairobi, where it is now. It's part of the Akamba territory, Amkamba, and it has a rich cultural heritage. And now it's been growing significantly. Though Machakos does have double the poverty rate compared to Nairobi and just slightly above the national average, it's still growing. The climate is semi-arid, very hilly, that covers most of the county. There's been a lot of focus on tourist and tourism-related activity like hiking and safaris, and particularly there's a lot of farming going on, and they focus on farming maize, fruits and vegetables. Though the weather has been the last few years a little bit erratic, can't really predict it. The farmers have still been getting by. Now, our family moved here my grandfather actually moved here back in the 1960s. I think he purchased something like maybe 80 hectares of land, which has now been divided across the family. He started by selling wood carvings from Nairobi all the way to Botswana. And to do this, he had to get permission from from the British, particularly from the Queen, to be able to travel and do his trade. So that's how we started, and now we are 5 generations in Machakos. So that's just a little bit about where I'm from, but I'd like to present our first guest from Nairobi. That's Teddy. We have Teddy and George Chunga. Teddy has been in the tech ecosystem for the last 10 years. Welcome, Teddy. And is also an
Thanks.
author. So I'll pass it on to you, Teddy, and you can introduce yourself.
Thanks a lot, Max, and thanks for everybody on the call. Calling in from Nairobi. As Max said, I'm Teddy Warrior. I'm a pioneer in the technology ecosystem in Kenya, and also an author. I helped co-found or found a company known as Africa Stalking, and also part of the Mandela Leadership Accelerator. And our effort is we're working on building 100 Mandela-like leaders in the honor of Nelson Mandela's centenary. And I'm a partner to Ndaba Mandela, who is the grandson of Nelson Mandela, and who wrote a book called Going to the Mountain, Lessons from My Grandfather, Nelson Mandela. I've authored a book known as Son of the Nile, in celebration of my heritage. My people came all the way from up north in Egypt, and through the Great Migration, followed the Nile into Sudan, South Sudan, and then some of them dispersed to Ethiopia, then through Uganda and into Kenya, where we settled by the Lake Victoria region in Kenya. I'm the 10th of 17 children from also a polygamous East African family. I was instrumental in writing the mini biography of the step-grandmother of President Barack Obama. She was known as Mama Sarah Obama in 2014. At the moment, I'm helping build Mary Okello Conservancy in Kisumu, which will connect the village of Kunu and Palos Farm in Western Kenya. And more recently, I've published I Am From Challenge, which is a transformative initiative inspired by my I Am From book, inviting individuals to explore and share their personal stories through a canvas of a family tree. My family has been in a place known as Kisumu, which means the place of barter trade, for over 370 years. And I recently, in my book, Son of the Nile, wrote 32 generations of my mother's people and 26 generations of my mother's people. I'm very happy to be here on the call today because Lake Victoria region hosts one of the largest tribes in Kenya known as the Luo. And we are about 4 million in number, and we are found in 11 countries in Africa. So I'm looking forward to going deeper into my past, present, and future during the conversation.
Thank you so much, Teddy, and welcome. I'll pass it on to George Chunga. George, are you there? Just to introduce him a little bit, George is a traditional storyteller, also from Kisumu, and he focuses on folk and contemporary stories and tells these stories from a cultural perspective for all ages. George, are you there? Maybe you can quickly introduce yourself a bit more.
I don't think he's here right now.
I think he's dropped off. I'll just follow up on him, but for now, maybe I can hand it back over to you, Jordan.
For sure. Hello, everybody. So, hi, I'm going to be facilitating Georgetown, South Carolina. Georgetown is my hometown. It was once one of the richest cities in America because of the rice my enslaved ancestors grew. So they created a wealth they could not access, but as a testament to the power of dreaming and working for better, my ancestors not only overcome slavery, but they went on to create their own bustling communities. The specific piece of land that we're going to be ideating around is my family's land, touching on heirs property, which is a big topic of discussion and a big process that needs this process of co-creating together. It is owned by my family and is in the West End. Here to help facilitate that discussion are family members and friends from the West End. First, we have my dad, Brendan Barber. If you want to come on, Dad, and say a bit about yourself.
Okay, thank you, Jordan, and thank everyone that's on from around the globe. I'm Brendan Barber. I'm now the executive director of Helping Hands of Georgetown, and basically what we do here is our mission is to alleviate generational poverty throughout Georgetown. So we do that with providing food insecurities, utility insecurities. We have a full service dental clinic, and we're also in all 4 of our high schools here in Georgetown, South Carolina, working with our sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And my past experience is that I'm the former mayor of the city of Georgetown, and I served on city council for over 24 years. And I was the first African American to be mayor here in a city that's over, we could talk about over 400 years of being downtrodden. But as we look forward, I'm 7th generation Georgetonian, so our families, we were involved in horse breeding, barrel making, and also having a foothold in the mercantile industry down on our front street. My background, basically, since I'm originally and born and reared in Georgetown, I was also a Division I athlete. I played football at Michigan State University, and that's where I got both degrees. I've worked in the airline industry. I've been a personal line insurance underwriter. And we can go on, but when we talk about Georgetown, one of our main issues is we have no housing inventory for our workforce. We deal with heirs property, and one of our obstacles with heirs property is that financing heirs property is difficult because you have to have all family members included in that. And what we would like to push is that through manufacturing homes, which meets the same standards as modular, that we can help our folks who are working folks obtain and create on heirs property manufacturing homes. When we look at Georgetown, historically, what drives Georgetown is the port. And Georgetown is one of the 3 oldest cities in the state of South Carolina, and we also have a natural port. If you look at the picture that's on the screen, our port, that cut in between there, right here to the lower left, that was a man-made cut by the Corps of Engineers, which disrupted the natural flow of our port. So what we need to do is restore that and create an industry where we can bring in seagoing barges instead of what we call bulk shipping. So if we can do that, that would help enhance our community. Now, the West End, particularly the property Jordan is talking about, the West End at one time had over 62 minority-owned businesses, which created a revenue, a living revenue for the West End. So also created a social culture, an entertainment culture on our West End. That has gone by the wayside due to city planning and the ordinance that they have put in place that just really restricts us to residential And what we need is we need a shot of neighborhood commercial back on our West End. So I'll turn it over to back over to Jordan, and I know we have some other Georgetonians online.
Yes, so I'm going to also introduce my Aunt Shirley, and if Aunt Shirley could come on and just say, you know, I know where you're from and what you do.
Good afternoon, Jordan, and to all of your team members and to everyone around the world. This is amazing. And of course, to my brother, Brendan Barber, and to my niece, Jordan. I was born and raised in Georgetown, South Carolina, but once I left to go away to college, which was at Spelman College in Atlanta, I really have not physically lived there since 1964, but have kept close connections to Georgetown. I currently live in Savannah, Georgia. After finishing Spelman College, my husband Robert and I were married that summer. We went to the Boston, Cambridge area where he entered and completed the MBA at the Harvard Business School. I was fortunate as well to enter and complete my master's degree at the Harvard Harvard School, Graduate School of Education in Boston. So once we left the Cambridge area, we moved to Atlanta, Georgia for about a year, and then came to Savannah, Georgia in 1971. Came here specifically because my husband was offered the opportunity to become president of Carver State Bank, which is one of the few African-American owned banks in the country. At the time, there were probably over 100 of them, but now it's about 22 of those banks. And he has been president since 1971, probably has the distinction now of being the oldest serving bank president in an African-American owned bank. And we also think basically in the United States, because he's been president of the bank for over 50 years. But my educational background took me into counseling and administration. I worked at Savannah State University for 33 years. And once I retired from there, in addition to working there, I also was very active in the Savannah community, on several boards, from United Way to what we would call a parental protection kind of agency that dealt with children. Safe Shelter, which was also and is still operating. It's a facility for persons who are subjected to domestic abuse. And once I retired from Savannah State University, which was in 2002, I became involved in the cultural part of the city with the Savannah Black Heritage Festival, which was sponsored and is still sponsored by the city and produced by Savannah State University. So I was able to direct that particular festival for 20 plus years. And in the midst of that, around in the 2016, 17 years, I became actively involved with voter turnout and get out the vote, and actually organized a women's group to get out the vote. And that kind of blossomed into what I do now in reference to working through my church with an organization called Black Voters Matter, which is a nonpartisan organization. And we work tirelessly to get out the vote. So in that capacity, I'm also involved with Georgetown because when Brendan was on city council, and of course, when he ran for mayor, I was able to assist with his campaigns from a partisan and nonpartisan perspective in reference to helping persons to understand the need to engage in voting and the educational aspect of understanding what the issues are, so that those kinds of issues that affect you personally, such as what Brendan just talked about in Georgetown, in reference to affordable housing and et cetera, that if you understand how certain issues affect you, then you concentrate on finding out information about the candidates who are running, or those persons who are already in office that you can hold accountable and understand the importance of your vote. That's what part of what I do now. But I have a special affinity, love, and respect for Georgetown, South Carolina. We are 7th generation in that area between Georgetown and Williamson County. And in reference to the West End, where we grew up, there's so much fondness and memory and everything from school to everything else that happened in my life that impacted who I am and where I am now, and the kinds of things that I was able to do, that I cannot wait to talk about the impact that the city of Georgetown and the people who were there, the people in the village who actually were responsible for all of us in reference to the values that we have and the kinds of success that we've been able to make in life. If it were not for them, and our parents, with that strong village. And that's one thing that I'd like to see from a value perspective, that we can maintain, but I think go back and recreate, so that some of the things that need to happen in Georgetown can be totally impacted from that perspective, as well as from what can happen from a governmental point of view, from an economic standpoint, from a social standpoint. But I think that recreating the village, in my opinion, in Georgetown and strengthening that village will be a part of the solution of where we can be presently and where we can go forward in the future.
Thank you, Aunt Shirley. And another member from Georgetown that's going to be joining us is Miss Jeanette Graham. Miss Jeanette Graham, are you able to turn your camera on? Well, I can say that Miss Jeanette Graham is the president of Howard Alumni Association, a very active member in the West End. And we will, as Georgetown, be staying in the main room. So everyone who is joining us on the live stream will get to hear more from Miss Jeanette as well. I wanted to go ahead and let's get started into the main event of the
Jordan?
show. Oh, Miss Jeanette,
Hello,
you here?
Jordan, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay, finally. I'd rather keep the camera off if you don't mind.
Okay, that's fine. But can you give us a little bit brief intro, because Georgetown's going to be staying in the main room, so you can introduce yourself a little bit longer.
Okay.
A bit.
All right. My name is Janet Bacody Graham. I am born and raised in Georgetown. Went to school with Shirley, Barber, James, and also knew Brendan all of his life, most of my life. I'm not a West Ender. I live on the West End now, but I'm from what they call Uptown, the other side of the town clock, Meeting Street and that area. But I now live on the West End. My husband is a West Ender. And we've been back in Georgetown about 15 years. Prior to that, I lived in New York, where we both worked for the telephone company. Since being back in Georgetown, I have encountered a lot of things that I didn't knew still existed here. But anyhow, I'm the president of the Howard High Alumni Association. I'm also president of the Low Country Veterans Support Group, and also liaison to the West End Citizens Council. I try to get involved in everything whenever I can. So I'm not that much of a educational person, but I like to work behind the scenes, and I was proud to be part of Brendan's campaign. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you all for being here. So we're going to get into the main attraction of the show. I am going to open up breakout rooms for each location, and each breakout room will be recorded. And Georgetown will be staying in the main room, but each Greenprint host will lead everyone through the questions while sharing the Miro board. If you haven't seen the Miro board yet, it's an infinite whiteboard where we're going to be documenting our conversation. And it just also adds more of a visual element that audience members can then explore after the show as well. So I'm going to go ahead and open up all the rooms. Please let me know if you have any trouble joining. For Georgetown, we're going to be staying right here, so you don't have to worry about joining a room or anything like that. But anybody else, please go ahead and hit that join button. And please then turn your camera on. Let me know if you have any trouble joining. Everybody should be going to their breakout rooms. Max, are you good? Did you get a join?
Yeah.
Okay.
If George joins, just send him over to our room.
I will.
Thanks.
For sure. I think Teddy, Donovan.
Hi, Jen. I can't see the join button.
Okay, I'll
But I just see the breakout rooms. I see an icon for breakout rooms.
yes, click that and see what happens. Tell me what happens when you click breakout rooms. Does it tell you to join? Oh, there you go. All right. Now everybody's where they are. All right. So Dad, Aunt Shirley, I know Miss Jeanette, you're not going to join us on screen, but that's fine. How this is going to work is first I'm going to ask you guys just for the next 2 minutes, just quietly in the chat, just start to tell me places of historical significance to you, and I can pull those and put them on the Miro board. And then answer the question in the chat, how does that place impact you? How does the historical significance of that place impact you? If you guys could put that in the chat, and we'll just like 2 minutes of silence while you guys go and do that. And then we'll open up and talk about it.
What did I do?
What did you do?
I don't see anybody.
You don't see anybody, you don't see chat?
Hold up.
Did you go full screen?
Here we go.
Okay, I've lost you all myself.
What? I don't see chat.
You don't see the chat?
Hold up.
You have to click on the bottom, it says chat. Or you know
Oh,
what?
I see
I didn't
notes.
see it either, but I see it now. Yeah.
Oh, I see it.
Okay. So again, the question we're doing is just tell me a place that has historical significance. I already have Howard High School
I got
up
that.
there.
Okay.
And then so if you want to add just your personal, how this has had a personal impact on you. For example, I put my grandmother, Camille Barber, taught English here for over 4 decades. The school is an all-Black school in the segregated South, is a living reflection of the past. My family created a living community on the West End, and education was at the center of it. This has a lasting impact on me as education has become a lifelong passion. The evidence of community and strength of the community here, despite the challenges of time, also connected with my passion now. green print work. So if you guys could just put a place, if your place is already Howard High School, then just put in the chat, the impact. Okay. In the meantime, as like Dad just put a new place in the chat, Georgetown Port, I'm gonna go ahead and look for an image of Georgetown Port and put it on the mirror board. So you
That
guys
was it.
I'm
That's that
trying,
image.
Jordan.
That's that image you had on the
Okay.
main screen.
Cool.
Okay, Jordan. I can talk better than I can.
Go ahead and
too.
talk. Go ahead and talk. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I put like, King Street, which was the Black Mecca of Georgetown, where we had the Myers drugstore. Jeanette helped me.
Yes,
We had the shoe repair person.
yeah, the barber
James E.
shop.
Holmes.
Barber shop.
James, right, Green's Barbershop, yeah, James E.
Yes.
Holmes, the shoe
Uh-huh.
shine place.
Yeah, and it was just then there was Dr. Beck's medical office, the doctor.
Oh, we had a pool hall over there too.
That's right, the pool hall.
Yeah,
pool
yeah.
hall, it was just, I mean, as far as downtown, because what we used to have to do, because we didn't have any entertainment on Sundays, you had to just go walking.
Yeah.
Went to these places.
You
Yeah.
had the black, you had the
Got
black,
ice
you had the black taxi stands right there on the
On the
right
corner,
there on King, the
Yes.
King in front.
King in front, yeah.
They used to be right there.
Mhm.
Yeah, Eddie Ellis and Eddie Ellis is the only name I can remember right now, but there were about three of them. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh, Gerald Agreed, Gerald and Ann Hart's dad. He was a
Okay.
taxi driver.
Right.
Yeah.
And so was
Mhm.
Mr. White.
Who had the little cafe right there where they used to sell the fish sandwiches and all
Oh,
that?
wow.
I don't remember who owned it, but my mother worked there and we called him Tooley.
Yeah,
But I don't know what his given name was, but we called him Tooley.
That's right. Thule had that, and Thule was a barber. He had
Right,
both.
right, yeah. My mom
Thule
worked in the
used to cut
restaurant.
my hair.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then, of course, there's the International Paper Company, which is right there next to
Yeah,
Howard
IP
School.
was always
Yeah.
there, yep.
Because most people, our dad and our uncles were employed there, but so many people, were employed at the paper company. And
Yeah, the paper mill did a lot for a lot of
Yeah.
people. Helps a lot of people put their kids through school and stuff.
yes,
We
yes.
have a gentleman, Brendan, Mr. Ragg. He said he told his preacher at his church, whenever he preached, there were only two things he didn't want him to talk about. And that's IP, because IP helped everybody in Georgetown. And I think the other was, I can't remember what the second one was. But when you said IP, he said he told his minister he can't preach on those two subjects.
Mhm.
Well, hey, how about the alley? How about the Elks?
Oh, yes, on the west side.
Places
That's where
of-
all the entertainment was, yeah.
Yeah.
Because from uptown where I live, we had to come all the way over. Well, we had to come over there to school,
Yeah.
and we had to come over there
The
to,
avenue, the alley.
right, but in the alley for the checkerboard club and whatever
Elks
else.
Club
We had some
was
famous
the
people
Elks.
come through there.
Yeah.
The Elks Club, yeah, and Sticks on the corner.
Right.
Right.
We had who would we have? We had Otis Redding come to the checkerboard.
All
Oh,
right.
yeah. Remember that?
You remember that, Shirley?
That was a place of entertainment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I actually did. You remember what he said? My husband is back here listening to me. He said, "You were gone. That was our senior year. That
But Otis
that Otis
Redding,
Redding came to the checkerboard. That was 65.
that's okay. I heard about it. That was
You heard about it, yeah.
Well, how about all the little grocery stores we had on the west
Oh
end?
yeah.
Oh, yes. And
What
then
was Dingles? Was that the one right across the street from the school?
Yeah.
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 And then the dry cleaner who was down on Emmanuel Street.
Taft.
Mr.
Taft.
Taft. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had
Dry
Taft
cleaner
Taylor
and
stuff.
he was a well, you don't call him men seamstress. What do you call men? But he sewed.
Yes,
Yeah.
he was a
Yeah.
tailor.
Taylor,
was a
right,
tailor,
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
He was a tailor. Yeah.
yes.
And then Mr. Brum, you remember his store right around
Rum candy store.
the candy
Okay.
store? Yeah.
Okay, my husband is saying yes in the background because he's a West
Oh,
Ender.
okay.
I'm not, like I told you,
Okay,
I
all
wasn't
right.
born on the West End.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
learning a lot from the West End now since I've been back home. I learned more
Right.
about the West End than when I lived in Georgetown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there were quite a few between downtown and on the west side.
And
You
then
know,
Eugene
we had all
Eugene
of our
Johnson
means.
had a store where you got all your cold cuts and all your deli and
Well,
stuff.
that is very true.
Really?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
you right there on the corner of Manual and G Avenue, G and Johnson
Yes.
Oh, okay.
deli store.
Yeah. And then if you went up Merriman Road, oh gosh, it was my classmate. There was another one up there too, where you could buy cold cuts. I remember loving to go there to buy bologna.
You're not talking about oh, I can see the store and I can't think of the name. I know just what you're talking about.
Yeah, but it was up on Merriman Road, not too far now where Beck School was.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
Mhm.
And then over that side too, you also have the Kings. They had a cleaners over there, Bernard King, those family
Right.
on Merriman and off of Church, off of Duke.
yeah.
Mhm.
And then how about the Wallaces? They had a cleaners too, right there on the corner of Merriman Road and Front Street.
Mhm.
Who?
The Wallaces.
Oh, the Wallace. Yes, yes, Wallace Cleaners, of
Wallace
course. Yeah.
Cleaners.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then if you
And-
go
Yeah.
back to Merriman Road and Gilbert Street, you know, the store that was there?
Yeah, Dingle.
Yeah, Dingles. Wasn't that Dingles?
No,
Yeah.
not Dingles. Not
Where we
Merriman,
right across
not
from the
Merriman,
lunchroom?
not
Right.
Merriman and Emmanuel, but go on down to Merriman and Gilbert.
Yeah, Ford
Is that
Street.
Dingles?
That's Dingle.
That's
Okay,
Dingles right across from the lunchroom.
Yeah.
from the
yeah.
Yeah,
lunchroom. Yeah.
you can sneak out if
And
you
that was-
could and run over and
yeah.
get a soda and get back during lunchtime.
Right. And that was the same spot, Brendan, you know, we probably, you weren't born yet. I think I was a little baby, but that was the same spot where our dad had a sort of like a little nightclub.
Oh,
I was about to say,
Camille's.
didn't your family have something over there too? Yeah, yeah.
Camille's place. That's
Yeah.
what.
Camille's place, that's what it was called?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Never knew the name. Knew it
That
was
was
there,
bef-
but never knew the name.
Yeah, that was before our time.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Mm-mm. Yeah, yeah. And then you had
Alright.
Uptown, you also had George Young had a restaurant up there, Yum Young, soul
Right.
food
Yeah.
place.
Mhm.
And you can't forget Mickey's on Orange Street.
Yeah,
There you
yeah, Mickey's, right.
You
That
have
was
to
the
be
only
out of
form
high
of
school to
entertainment
get
we
there.
had.
How about
Yeah.
Chez Par? You had Mickey's. You had Chez Paris.
Ah. I was just talking about Chez Paris last night.
Hot dog. And you had to be out of school to get in there.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yes. Mhm.
Adults only.
Adults only. And then remember the Knoxes had the liquor store on
Okay.
High Market.
The
You know, right now,
Charlie though? I mean,
if you think about where the where Hardee's is and kind of
Yeah.
like across the street,
That Pops ran that, right?
Fox ran that was the Knoxes ran that liquor store there.
oh,
And
okay.
then they also had a nightclub over on Merriman Road too.
That's Chez Paris.
Chez Paris, okay.
Chez Paris,
Yeah,
yeah,
Moms. Moms ran that. Miss Blondell Knox.
I'm about to say, yeah, Blondell. I'm about to bring her name up. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, we had a lot of memories here in Georgetown.
Yes.
Oh Lord, what was the other place? Golly.
What? Someplace we could party? Because there ain't many of those. There weren't many places in Georgetown for us to party.
Well, look at don't forget the American Legion now.
Oh,
Oh,
the
Lord,
American
yes.
Legion.
The American
Very
Legion.
true.
Yes.
Big time on Christmas and
I-
4th of July.
I was about to say, couldn't wait to get home Christmas to go to the American Legion.
That's right.
Right.
Yes, indeed. And then also we talked mentioning Howard and whatever. Don't forget that the original Howard was uptown on Duke and
on Duke Street.
and
Yeah.
Duke and Wood Street. Yes.
Yeah,
Every time I have to
but-
pass that plaque, I want to cry.
Right.
I
Yeah.
know.
I know. I told Alma White one day when we were talking about something, and she said, "Well, we did put up a plaque." I said, "No." I said, "See, I'd have started a fight here." I said, "Because y'all had I'd have been chained to one of those buildings. Y'all would have never torn them down without me fighting
Right.
for them."
There you
I mean,
go.
all the work that those people did to finally get us a high school, and you all let them tear it down
Right.
and put up a plaque. And that place was supposed to be used for parking for the Social Security office. I don't see nobody parking in there. It's all overgrown as far as I can see.
Oh, you know what they're gonna do.
Yeah. So yeah, the I'm not gonna say it, Brandon, but I know what they're gonna do.
You know what they're gonna do.
Mm-mm. Unbelievable.
Sooner or later, you see somebody's house up there. The plaque will be there, but the house will be somebody's
Right.
personal house will be there.
House will be up there, right? Or some kind of business or something. There ain't gonna be nothing that's gonna benefit us.
No.
Took away all our history like it never existed.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I do
Yeah.
thank you all, Janet, for what you all are doing on the west side with that museum that's in the
Oh,
old
yeah, yeah.
cafeteria. Because that's
That-
one way of preserving some of the history that we have. And if there's any way that we can expand it, a section just in general for different parts. But the West End Museum is a wonderful idea.
Yeah,
And,
thank you. Yeah. We're
if
doing
there's
Habitat
not
right
enough-
now is helping us with one of the other rooms.
Okay.
And also Alma and I forgot somebody else is looking into getting funds for us to probably help us expand and add
Okay.
on another room or something, because people are bringing in so many things and we don't have a place to display them all.
Right.
Yeah, so we're working on that, and thank goodness the people of Georgetown have backed us all the way on it. Anything
Okay.
that they can do, they're always there.
Okay, well, that if we can expand that in reference to present and future, at
Yes.
least we have our history.
Right,
Because
and that's
there's
the
so many,
only thing that has it.
there are
The little
so
bit they have
many-
in the library isn't even worth mentioning.
Right, because, with everything that's going on now to erase our history from
Yes.
this nation, definitely from all aspects in reference to what's written, like we need to retain our true history.
Yes,
So
without a doubt.
I appreciate so much what you all are doing, with that.
Thank you. We
Even
try.
from here, if I can help any, from where I am, just like so many of us who are alum.
Yes, yes.
That don't live in the city
That
anymore.
don't live in the city. Yeah, yeah.
We can help.
Yes, I know you can. Yeah, we're looking to do something coming to Savannah for some kind of trip. So when we get that all together, whatever, I'll be knocking on your door.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Jordan, what you want us to do now?
I think you guys have already kind of started going into the next phases. I know I only have Aunt Shirley for about four more minutes. So I do want to get this question passed out. What do we learn from this history, and what do we want to retain as a community, and what do we want to change in terms of specifically all of these places you guys have talked about, most of which don't exist anymore. What can we learn from that?
Well, I'm going to try, because I had someone come to the door. I'm still in the midst. We have an election on Tuesday, so there was some material that somebody was coming to pick up from me. And so am I back on? I hope.
Yeah.
Yes, you're on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a few minutes left. But again, I want to reiterate and continue to encourage Jeanette and everybody who's working with preserving our history, the history of Georgetown. And another thing that I'm trying to do, and I need to just go ahead and get it done, is that there's a great history just in our family. And I think putting that history together, since we right now can go back 7 generations, and if there are ways that in association to what's happening with the museum, that you can begin to have sessions and teach families how to, maintain their history and how to record it. A lot of times we don't think about it, but those old funeral programs that, persons have saved or whatever, that has a lot of history.
Mm.
families. So if you all can put together, begin to look at, talk to some of the retired teachers who are in town and persons who know how to put curricula and things like that together, and even working through the library, but doing some sessions on genealogy,
Mhm.
I think would be so helpful. So
Yes.
helpful, and telling people not to throw away things that that look like trash.
Right, because you don't know what's
You don't know what's
Yes.
in there that can be helpful. So I think if we can concentrate on preserving the history of the families and teaching genealogy, teaching maybe doing what some people are buzzing around here in Savannah, like start having what we call Saturday classes, because we have to teach our own history.
Yes.
It's not being taught in the schools. It's being rewritten according to another person's, other people's perspective, because they don't want our history to be to continue to exist. So we need to take it in our hands and take it in our own hands throughout places of worship, our organizations, the community organizations, the fraternities, the sororities, and all of them. We have to come together and put together those kinds of things so that we can maintain and teach, because our young people, if they don't understand, now we had even though things were segregated when we came along, we were taught.
Yes.
We were taught. Okay, so we knew where we came from. We were encouraged in reference to what we could do. We had so many people to encourage us and to train us and to put that mindset in us that you can do anything that you want to do. But you need, but we valued education and we valued community. So we can get back into some of that. I think that will help in reference to, like I said, our progress economically, looking at poverty and things of that nature, because we didn't, did we think we were poor when we were growing up? No.
No,
there was not. There was not no, we did not. And so there was not that distinction, in reference to class or whatever when we were coming. I mean, I didn't feel it, and we just were not taught that.
Yep.
So I think that we need to, if we can put together, and as I said before, I know there's so many things that have to happen in Georgetown in terms of heirs property and teaching people how to appreciate the property that they do have, and not just go and sell it, for this number that they think is a good number. It's a few $1,000 somebody's offering you, but the value and the wealth that's in land.
Yes.
We may not have a lot of it left, but for those who do, help them to understand the value of it and to try and maintain it and to do what we can. Even if we got to put some funds together or some kind of trust fund to help people pay their taxes. Just there's several things that can happen, but we need to help our people, help our neighbors, help our friends and our families to understand the value of what we have and pass it on.
Mhm. I love that. Thank you so much, Aunt Shirley. I know you have to
I
go.
sure do, because
Yeah,
I
really
gotta
thank you
get
for-
to a piano recital.
Monroe has a piano recital today as well. So
Okay,
that's
all right.
funny.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
Shirley.
So before we move on to the present, is there anything else as far as what we need to be learning from this history and what we want to retain as a community and what we want to change before I move on to the next section?
Well, I agree with what John Shirley said about getting everybody involved and making them know the wealth of their property. That was one of the last things I remember your dad saying was to a group of people that do not sell your property.
Amen.
There are so many other ways of doing things. Don't sell your property. That's the only history you have left of yourself. And everything that your parents put into that or whatever, it needs to be kept alive for the next generation. Even if you don't live here, don't sell it. Find something, rent it out, whatever. Don't sell it. Georgetown has so much history, but as far as the government and politics are concerned, it only happens on the west side of Fraser Street, and that's going all down Front Street and whatever. West End, as far as they're concerned, does not have any type of historical value. I remember going to the, I don't know the name of that thing that takes people around, that tour guide. And once we opened the museum, I went to them, and because I saw them with a cart full of Black people one day, and I said, "Oh, all right." I said, "Now that we've got the museum open," and I went over there and told them we had opened the museum, gave them a flyer and whatever, and he was like,
Right.
"Oh no, we don't come on that side of Fraser Street." I'm like, "Excuse me," and I just walked out because I couldn't say what I wanted to say to him, But there's so much history on the West End, and they ignore it. They try to block us in any way they can from doing anything that showcase our history. They did that for our Juneteenth parade last year. We were going to we always have police escort because we come from Beck to Howard. That's our route. We've had it since Brendan, God bless his heart, made Juneteenth a legal holiday. The first one was a big one. Everybody was involved. Nobody, no money, no nothing. We did grants, so forth. The next year we did it. They charged us $180 to have the police escort us from Beck to Howard. Last year, they charged us $980 for the same route and the same people. God bless the Divine Nine. They came in and they paid it because I was about to cancel the parade. I was not going to give them a dime. But the Divine Nine got together and they paid for the parade. Louis Moran said we need to keep it going so that the young folks will know what it's all about and can see what's being done to try to hold it back. I'm done.
Okay. And just to go on that same path, we got to maintain our property. We need to encourage and get groups together and say, hey, look, here's just a technical thing when it comes to heirs property. The banks won't sign off you putting a stick built or modular, but they can't stop you from putting a manufacturing home there. And that's what we need to push and see. A manufacturing home meets the same standards of a modular home.
Right.
They're all built in the same factory. They meet all the hurricane. They meet all the requirements. All we need to do is push for that code, because they're right now, I've never seen so many folks ride on the West End and buy a property that don't look like us.
Thank you. I told my sister that just the other day. I said, I came down, so I said, and all of a sudden this white lady popped, and I was like, where did she come from?
Yeah.
I didn't see the house she came out, but she came out of somebody, one of the houses that we knew as when we were children,
Yeah. So we need to that, and the other thing, we need to push for neighborhood commercial so people can have their own little mom and pop stores.
Yes.
You got to push back for that, because they're about 60 sites where that used to be little stores. If you want to revive the community, you need to allow people to have little businesses
to have their little neighborhood stores. Yes.
So they deliberately did that to get us out the way.
Of course. Anything that'll stop us from, and they do it to aggravate you, because they do it so many times and in so many crazy ways that you say, oh, I've had enough of this. I can't take it anymore. And that's what they want.
Yeah. So if we can get manufacturing homes back on the West End, that'll help with our population, and to make sure we get neighborhood commercial so that we can have our own businesses.
Own little stores and stuff, yes.
Because people don't have any place to live. They already moved people out from Place by the Bay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, them people gone. They're gonna be market value apartments. Some things gonna be anywhere from 12 to 1,500 a month.
I bet they will, but I didn't know they would already made the move.
But June is the last deadline for everybody to be out. If you go over there now, it look like a war zone. I rode through that the other day.
That's a shame.
All of those families with kids and people who work don't have any place to live.
Disabled people. Oh,
that's
man.
right. So
Yeah.
that's what our city government is doing.
Can yeah, that's I didn't know about that. So Place by the Bay is one of the places of that's a
Yeah, you
issue.
know, that's
Is
Yeah,
there
big issue.
just to skip ahead, are there any places that have been established for these communities that you were talking about that are positive, like residential housing that actually serves working class and
none,
None.
none,
elderly housing? There's none?
none,
No.
none,
That's our
Dang.
main concern, that we don't have
None.
affordable low-income housing.
none.
And
Our
the more
people
we
have
talk
no
about it, the
place to
more
go.
they ignore it.
Our folks have no place to go.
So there's no
Gentrification,
affordable housing.
no. And the county even voted down, they were gonna build some affordable housing going out past,
Westfield
right, and they voted that down.
voted it down, yes. I never understood that.
Me either. And some, I think one who looked like us voted against it also.
Yes, and I know exactly who it was that they came to me trying to explain, and I still didn't understand.
So
Me either.
is another problem we're facing is a lot of these big land developers infiltrating the city council?
Yes.
Well, they're influencing local government. That
Exactly.
includes city and county.
And county. And see, when city council was running, their main contributor that I saw was South Carolina Board of Realtors.
There you go.
Main contributor, South Carolina Board of Realtors. And every one of them sitting on that board, with the
That's
exception
right.
of Mika, I think, has realtor license and involved in real estate outside of city council.
Or some type of construction.
Well, right.
There you go.
They're more concerned about building places that can
You
turn a profit.
You gotta put city and county council.
City and
Oh
county.
yeah, they gotta, and that's one thing that they don't do. They don't come together. City council wants it their way, county council wants it their way. There's no meeting in the middle, it seems like.
Amen.
Yeah, so Jordan, you better go ahead to your other people. Georgetown could be here until next year and still not solve anything.
So
All
that's
right.
present and future.
Yes.
What other problems do you guys feel like are present that the community faces?
If we had that port operating, that port provided an income to black families where they could educate their children, provide a great living, and they deliberately shut the port down because
Yes,
too many blacks were making too high of a salary, and you didn't have to have an education.
Besides the paper mill, longshoremen
money.
were what besides the paper mill, longshoremen were what took care of Georgetown.
That's right.
The longshoremen were always here. My dad was a longshoreman.
Yeah,
Even though
there you go.
they didn't work that much in Georgetown. He had to go to North Carolina sometimes,
Yeah.
but he was a longshoreman and they did what they had to do.
They made big money.
Big money, yes indeed.
Shoot.
And like you said, and they were not highly educated people, so that stopped them right there. Because they were making too much more money than the others, and they didn't have the higher education.
So we need and also I just want to say that missing money, it doesn't just take care of the family, it takes care of the community. That goes back to the small businesses and spending the money right there.
Man, those black men and one thing, we used to work as scab labor, so even guys who were in high school, we'd skip school, go down there to the port and work because
exactly.
Yeah, because a lot of union men, once they got all their hours in, they didn't have to work every day.
You're right, and that gave the young men a chance to get out there and make some money.
That's right. Yeah. You know, you're a young kid, you go down there, work a couple of days, you done made more money you can make in a month
Right?
going someplace else to work. Wasn't no chump change.
No, it wasn't. The longshoremen, they paid well. Ports paid well. I know that.
Yes.
So then as we go into it, well, before we move on, any other problems we want to mention in the present?
Jobs, housing, and
More
education.
teachers.
More teachers, but our education system is unbalanced. It doesn't address the needs of
Of the majority of students.
yeah, our males and our females, particularly the minorities. We don't have folks who look like us.
Right, and if they are, they're weeding them out slowly but surely.
There you go.
Okay. Are there any present positives in the community that we could talk about? Any positive places, such as the Weston Museum that's retaining our history, and what are the places, any small businesses that have been able to keep going and so forth and such?
Well, you still, you have your personal care businesses, whether it's your beauty shops or your barber shops. That's continuing. But as corporate America comes in, now, your beauty shops running into problems because people can go buy their own hair care.
Exactly.
And now people are looking more like I can do more with my hair naturally than I have to do. Particularly us. It's healthier for us to be more natural than be processed. But when you think overall, golly, we don't even have a black doctor or black dentist in town anymore, do we?
No. Not that I know of, no.
Not that I know of either. So, the positives is that we have nonprofits who are trying to help the community, with our young people, with, medical and dental care, but it still comes down to you have a number of nonprofits helping. That's a positive. But we still got to break that cycle where we can be independent and not depending on, oh, Lord.
Yeah, because you have my sister-in-law has a nursing home,
right,
an adult daycare business that she helps out as many as she can in the neighborhood. You get people from out of town too that are looking for senior residents and don't have families. They call her to try to get into her facility. That's one positive here that she is trying to help the seniors, and it gives some of the younger folks work, those that are in the health field.
And her only obstacle is financing from our traditional place. They don't, what they call it, I forgot what they call it in the banking business. They don't give us the opportunity to expand like other healthcare
other businesses
providers. Yeah.
Well, our loving mayor, when Maisie first wanted to open Oasis, she was working at TD Bank. And Maisie went there and applied for a loan, had all her papers in order, everything, her credentials, her dad's reputation here in Georgetown. And you know what Joe told her? Why don't she go and be a nurse or whatever? And Maisie said, I'm already a nurse. I'm a registered nurse. I have a PhD, not a PhD, but I have a master's. I want to open a business. He would not give her that loan.
Ain't that something? So that's the mindset we're dealing with, Jordan. It's not so much what we can do, it's the mindset of those who are in power,
in control, and hold the purse strings. Yes.
Yes. I think in that conversation, I got a little bit lost on the places that may be positive that do
Okay.
exist. So can you name us some places that, you know, like the West End Museum, or just even just places where you see people gather? Like I don't know if the Big Tuna got to open again, but you know, just
Well,
places.
hey, they having problems with the current administration because the mayor don't like Bucky.
Oh, is that what the problem is?
Yeah, because Bucky is Bucky
Is your
told them
buddy? Yeah.
Bucky told us that Brendan will always be my friend, and I can't use the word he told, but they giving him pure hell.
So that's why they made him close the tuna.
Yep.
And it's not open. It's okay.
Well,
So it's still closed.
he's building a new one about 2 doors down. Y'all should, when you get a chance, Janet, you're on Front Street, go look at what he's doing for the new one.
Oh,
But
okay.
but that's the problem. It's a personal thing.
Yes.
Well, any other places before we move on?
I mean, if you look around, we have social gatherings. That's a big plus. You have Juneteenth. You have ML King Day, which janitors run. You have those gatherings.
Right. You have the veterans. They do something every year.
Veterans, Low Country veterans.
Yep.
Not only throughout the month, they'll have something, whether they're celebrating a person's birthday or just come together to have a meal. Those are places we can go. You know, there's certain faith-based church. I'll just say the faith-based community. They'll have whether it's food distribution or bringing some type of programming. So there are places, nonprofits. You know, here at Helping Hands, you know, the dental clinic, we're gonna serve over 1,000 patients this year. Then we're working with all our high school seniors, juniors, and sophomores, and all food and utility distribution. So I mean, I named Helping Hands because we see people every day.
Every day, yes.
And then other nonprofits. So these are things that's just getting all of us together. And then you have your Divine Nine, the sororities and fraternities.
And fraternities, yes.
Okay.
Yep. And we gave this year, we were fortunate enough to give 6 $1,500 scholarships to deserving seniors.
See? So,
and this all comes from donations from our community and from our members and whatever. No grants. Nobody from the city gives us a dime.
Can you say that one again, Ms. Graham?
Oh yeah, I said this year we were fortunate enough to give out 6 $1,500 scholarships to deserving seniors who
from the association?
From the Alumni Association, yeah. We do that every year. We give scholarships. It's usually just 4, or it depends on how our money runs, but it's never less than 4. This year we were fortunate enough to give 6, and we had extra money, so we made it $1,500 each instead of $1,000 each. And these funds come from our members, our fundraisers, and grateful citizens and people in the community. We get no grants, no nothing like that. This is all done by the people of Georgetown, and especially from the West Enders.
Yeah, and don't forget that the Howard Alumni Association has maintained the Georgetonian Ball, which that was a big event in Washington, D.C., but they've maintained that, and they're now at Kingston Plantation over at the Embassy Suites.
Yep.
What do they call it? The Georgetonian Ball?
Yeah, the Georgetonian Ball. That's what they named it when they took it up to DC and the Maryland area. It was there for many, many years. It wasn't until 1998 when people here in Georgetown, they stopped doing it. The members were getting older and they declined on having it every year. So then some of the people down here decided they wanted to do something, and they said, well, let's go and see if they'll let us do the ball. And they went up there and they were so happy that someone wanted to continue it. So we call it now the Georgetonian Ball South, because before it was just Georgetonian Ball and it was always in the DC, Maryland area. But since we brought it home to Georgetown with the blessing of the original association, we retitled it Georgetonian Ball South, and we have it every year, the Saturday before Christmas.
Oh, wow.
And that helps us raise funds. Also, that's a big fundraiser for us. It's a 3-day event. We give back to the community on that Thursday, which we call Campus Day. We have it on the grounds of the building. And then that Friday and Saturday, we go to the Embassy Suites. We have what we call a disco that Friday night, casual meet and greet. And then Saturday night, we have the formal affair. And we have honorees and whatever. Last year, we honored Louis Morant and Donald Gilliard, who were instrumental in helping us get that $980 to pay the police. So we honored them last year at the ball. But every year we have honorees from the community. It's always somebody from the community that has done something that we think deserves to be noticed.
Yes.
Mhm.
I love it. I think we can go next to the future. So you guys kind of already started talking about this, but in terms of thinking about the future, you guys were both part of the documentary, and I asked the question, if you have all the resources, don't think about the barriers. If you had all the resources available to you, what places would you build to improve? What places would you build or improve to solve the present day problems?
Environmentally friendly housing and community-based businesses.
Yes. And we need a nice senior citizen center also.
Yes.
We have one, but it does not accommodate the number of senior citizens we have here in Georgetown. And they don't get, they'll stick them in the library or the Howard Gym somewhere rather than put money together and do that. We need a nice senior citizen center for our seniors. And the reason they don't do it is because the majority of them look like us.
Right.
Mm.
Make sure you put affordable under housing.
Yes, definitely affordable.
Now, when you say community-based business, what are you? Can you
talk about neighborhood businesses?
Yeah, little candy stores and stuff, bringing them back to the West End so people don't have to go all the way out of their way to buy an ice cream cone or something.
Whether it's, it could be barbershops, it could be auto detailing stores, whatever fits the neighborhood.
Right.
So small neighborhood businesses. And access to access to sustainable, how would I put it? We need jobs that can sustain families and their future as far as investing in their community and their children. Something like in that base. Okay.
And we also need once the children finish school and go away to college, we need some type of, in that same genre you're talking about, Brendan, some type of jobs that will bring them back to Georgetown. Because once they finish college, it's kitty by the door.
Yeah.
With me, it was once I finished high school, it was kitty by the door. I was gone.
That's right.
Staying in Georgetown for nothing. But we need, now that they're trying to take what we have, we need to be able to approach that 18 to 35 so that when they finish college, they can say, well, I'll go back to Georgetown. I can do this, or I can help somebody along the lines of getting them more education or whatever, because I was fortunate enough to get an education through the system,
Yes. What about the port?
Yeah, redevelopment of the port to provide significant jobs. The port has always impacted the history of Georgetown. From the beginning of time, the port. We need to revive the port.
Awesome. Any other ideas?
I think those are the most important ones.
Okay, so what's gonna happen is we're gonna rejoin the other places soon. and we're going to reconnect with them. Can
Uh-huh.
we choose what we're going to share with them? Is really just like 1 to 3 places that we've talked about that we would love to bring to Georgetown or develop in Georgetown. Can we choose 1 to 3 that we can bring back to the group to mention?
Hmm. Um, so sort of hard. There's so many things that need to be done in Georgetown.
No. So from the senior citizen, I mean, and
Yeah.
we'll see why I say 1 to 3 is just because of time. But if
Oh,
we
okay.
can move through them quickly, we can say everything.
Mm.
But maybe let's just see what would be the top 1 to 3 that we can share with them.
Okay. Well,
Oh,
affordable
Dad,
housing.
I'm sorry, hold on. Dad, do you have to go?
No, go ahead. I'm gonna try to log in on my phone.
Okay, cool.
Affordable housing would I think would be the top without a doubt.
Right.
Amen.
And like your dad said, sustainable jobs that will help the family. I mean, the worker take care of their family and their bills and everything else. Not any little part-time thing or something that's going to pay them minimal wages, and then by the time taxes come out, they can't even buy a loaf of bread. What else, Brendan?
And those are the two big ones. And maintaining, one thing we have to push for our kids also is the technical skills that they need, because everybody think you have to go to a 4-year school, but those skilled trades that we need now to help build communities.
Yes,
We
yes.
didn't even say that.
Yeah, especially since we used to have wood shop and stuff in high school. That gave them a start, or think about, well maybe I want to be a carpenter or whatever, but they have eliminated that from the curriculum. There's no
That's
more home
right.
economics for the ladies and housekeeping, and there's no more wood shop and thing for the guys.
Okay, I'm switching over to my phone, Jordan.
Okay, go ahead. Just make sure you
Okay.
leave I think it'll just switch automatically now to update. You can just switch it.
I'm just Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Okay, I'm on my cell phone now.
Yeah, you're good.
And Janet could be the general on this discussion when you go back to the rest of the group.
Oh, you ain't gonna put me as general, huh?
You the leader.
Okay.
All right. I'm checking in with my other team members to make sure they're wrapping up so we can come back.
I'm still here. I'm not on camera, but I'm still here.
Yeah, both of us. Yeah, I'm not on camera either. I'm still here. Yeah.
All good. Oh, here we go. Nice.
Trying to put my dinner in the oven while we have a pause.
I'm gonna just broadcast this.
Hey, Jordan, you know what might probably be good, and I'm pretty sure Howard Alumni Association would like it when you back in town. If you can, Janet, if she can do a lecture on what the green print is all about, particularly since it's going to
Definitely.
target
Yes.
Georgetown.
That would be a good idea. Yes, I agree.
I would love that. And I'll be back for the summer.
They had people from all, yeah, people all across the country, trying to get them all back into the chat so we can finish up. People from Montana and all of that. Yeah, there was the group from Georgetown, me, Brendan, and Cheryl.
We can still hear you.
Oh, boy.
Okay, while we're waiting on them to wrap up, I did have more question to clarify, especially for people who might not be familiar with Georgetown. If you guys could tell me, when you say the West End, Uptown, I'm looking at the map and I have the map shared on the screen if you guys can see. Where does the West End end and where does like Uptown begin? Is my question.
Uptown, what, Janet? Across Fraser Street or
yeah, Fraser
Highway
Street.
17?
Yeah, Fraser Street is the division line between the West End and what they call Uptown. The east side, the west side of Fraser Street.
Okay, so
that's
this
the
is
West End. That's the West End.
This is 17, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so this side is the West End up to Merriman Road, right?
Yeah. Well, once you hit Merriman Road, then you're going to what we call the airport. But
and then so across the street is Uptown over here?
I don't see the map that you're looking at.
You can't see it?
No, now I see it. Yeah, okay. Let me put my glasses on.
Jordan, the West End, if you go down front Fraser Street all the way to the Maryville Bridge, over on the West End goes all the way down there.
Oh, right. I didn't know that. Oh, the West End goes all the way across the bridge?
Over there by the pit.
All the way to the Maryville Bridge.
The paper mill is the West End. You stop at the Maryville Bridge.
Oh, you stop at the Maryville Bridge. Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't go over to
Maryville is separate community.
Maryville is Maryville. Okay, got you.
Yeah.
So all the way, okay. And then, so where is Uptown?
Uptown is from where the steel mill parking lot. That's what I said. Uptown starts.
Okay, so Uptown is like here, like the front street.
Right, front and what's the first one? Cleveland.
Let me put it so it's like.
I'm very bad with maps, but front and Cleveland, no, front and Fraser rather begins the Uptown. Front and Fraser going east begins Uptown, and it goes all the way to the bridge that goes to Paulus Island.
Okay, got you. Okay, got you. So that's all this.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Got it. I'll put that on the map. So now I'm just giving them time to wrap up and they'll join us again.
Okay.
So we're going to have the live version of this. The uncut version of this is going to be on our YouTube, but we're also going to edit together the episode. And I'll let you guys know when that's done.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Oh, 15. You're not gonna tell me.
That's here. You know what? I'll share screen of the mural board that everybody has been working on and how it's filled up. A lot of people talking about preserving their history. I see that as a connection. Oh, we need to know ourselves and solve our problems. Interesting. Hmm. People talking about their own self-powered industries and how they need to take the power back. Let's see what they were saying in LA. Talking about the segregation in LA, how much all the different beaches for different ethnicities, communities.
Well, we hadn't even talked about segregation at Georgetown. Golly.
I know, I'm gonna put that up. Rent too high, no home ownership. Amazing. Yes, a lot of housing issues. Los
Yep.
Angeles. The things that they're talking about in the other places, most of them can be found in Georgetown, South Carolina. But yeah, we have to say that this was all Black, this segregation. That's another part about Uptown. Was Uptown basically like mix of Black and white folks in Uptown? Question for you guys.
Janet. What is she? Is she still on?
Yes, Jordan. Uptown, we were integrated, so to speak. We had white folks all around us, next door neighbors down the street a couple of blocks. They kept their distance, but we had more white folks uptown than we had on the West End. I don't think there were any on the West End that I can remember as a child.
Yeah. Well, they did. We
Flaglers,
did have
Brendan.
Yeah, Flaglers.
Flaglers was
Clover
the name of that
Farm.
store.
Yeah, Flagler, Clover Farm, and on the West End, we did have whites living next door, just like across from where Marmados grew up. There were white alligator hunters, and then
Okay.
Linwood, Wilson, and all them grew up over there. They had white houses over there by the Bethel Projects. That's where Linwood Wilson and all of them grew up.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
but we had the majority uptown. I guess that's
y'all had the majority. Yeah.
Right. They always said that the kids from uptown thought that they were better than the kids from the West End.
Yeah.
And I said, why? Because we had them up there, or because we had sidewalks? Those were the only two things that were missing. And the reason we had sidewalks was probably because of them.
Amen.
What was I gonna say? Oh, one more question. So then what was the white only section of Georgetown then? If the West End was predominantly Black, Uptown was somewhat integrated, where were like the white only communities that you did like?
That was Willowbank, wasn't it, Johnny?
I'm about to say, yeah, Willowbank. That's the only one that was all white. Every place else, there was somebody stuck in there somewhere.
Yeah. Now didn't they had Maryville when you were growing up too, right?
I don't remember. Was
Cause,
Maryville there, James, when we were growing up?
Maryville was all white. Maryville,
Yes, yes,
Kensington.
Maryville until Mr. Patterson and Mr. Drayton then went over there.
Yeah, and they had to fight when they got
Fight.
over there.
Yes, fight. I mean, Mr. Patterson had to go to Virginia and buy a house and bring it back. They would not let him build the house on the property, and he owned it. He had to go and get a prefabricated house and bring it back and put on the property.
Boy, I tell you, there's something else.
I'm telling you, never stop. And you think, like I said, when I came back home, I wasn't expecting this stuff to still be going on. I was gone almost 50 years. And nothing that substantial really changed.
Nope. Still hadn't changed.
Right? And I was so happy when I saw Black faces on the city council and whatever. And I'm saying, okay, well, at least we got some Black people in politics or whatever, but you can't do so much when everybody else is against you, no matter what your color is. Did I do that?
Oh, no, you're good. I'm bringing everybody back. I'm bringing everybody back from the other.
Oh, okay.
All right, everybody. All right, you guys, thank you so much. I hope you guys were having some really good conversations. I'm gonna wait till the breakout rooms completely close and send everybody back here. Everybody can put their camera on at this point if you want to. We really had a great conversation with Georgetown. Took a peek at what you guys were talking about on your boards. And I felt like everything that you guys were talking on your boards, you could also find in Georgetown as well. There's a lot of connection across the board with all the locations. So since the main room did have Georgetown in it, can we first start with a different place? Does anybody want to volunteer to go first? Or I can throw y'all out there. Los Angeles, you guys go ahead then.
Why did I know you were gonna do us one?
Well, y'all are all like here. So on my screen, at least, y'all are at the top.
We always getting done wrong, but that's okay. First of all, thanks, Colleen, for facilitating a really great discussion. I and Miguel Antonio were in the discussion with Colleen, and we had a really great conversation about past, present, and future Los Angeles. I'm gonna keep this short because I know we got 20 minutes, got to get through everybody. So I'm just gonna spend quick, like 5 minutes, if that, just kind of really going over everything. If there are questions, I would love to have them from folks. But we started out by saying, Los Angeles is huge. LA County is bigger than some states, definitely more populous than most places. And so when we try to pinpoint locations, poor Miguel and I were like, we don't want to be on the hook for missing out on all these important landmarks and, people coming. But just from kind of our perspectives and where we grew up, we named a few places in South, Central, and East Los Angeles that really mean a lot to us, and really were places of real intercultural connection, places of real urgent, relevant, support and help for people, where people can really come together and commune and really get the services that they need. And then we talked about those and highlighted those because those places have been or are currently like really under threat. Their position and the role that they played can't be quite realized because of the pressures that they're under, environmentally and systematically. But they still have a lot to offer and a lot for us to kind of look towards and hope for. So we talked about MacArthur Park and it's being kind of birthplace of, Black and brown dance crews and the birth of hip hop. We talked about Leimert Park being really one of these racial covenant areas that was carved out for Black middle class folks, and now being gentrified at an astonishing pace and unaffordable to most of the folks who would live there. And we talked about Martin Luther King Hospital, which was this emblem of, Black excellence and need for the community, and one of the only South LA hospitals being shut down because of its abhorrent record, and then the protracted kind of political fight to get it reinstated, really cutting Los Angeles across racial lines in terms of getting the hospital back up and operational. We also talked about Olvera Street. Again, this is East LA, in the East LA Public Library, real centers of community celebration and events in their communities, but again, under huge pressures around gentrification and the cost of living and the expense to live in these places. And so the folks who creating that legacy, folks were talking about 7 generations of folks living in a place. It's hard to do that in Los Angeles with the economic pressures that get forced on these communities and niches. Colleen, were you going to say something?
Nope, I'm just moving. I was just kind of getting you to the present in case you need to see those slides.
Okay, great. Yeah. So present, we talked about the rent too damn high, and really the good and the bad of living in Los Angeles. So wealth disparity came up really big because Los Angeles now in 2024 is a city of people. If you look just by income, right? If you just look at the number and you show it to anybody in America, the people that can afford to live in this city are either wealthy or, very poor. And so those are the folks who can afford to live in the urban area. Not much of a middle class by kind of a general definition of that. Now, a lot of people live in the city limits like, I'm middle class. You might feel like you're middle class, but if you go out to, where I'm from in Mississippi, that ain't middle class money. That's very much wealthy money, right? So to live in the city of LA, it's really this huge disparity. So without that middle class, it's really hard to have that kind of cultural exchange, that intermingling that Los Angeles was known for, and it did make these individual communities, whether they're Mexican, Black, Asian communities, really, really powerful and really, really impactful on the national stage. It's hard to do now. So the over-policing is still happening because there's just less Black people in Los Angeles, not getting as much media attention, but LAPD's over-policing of poverty is as strong as ever. So it's really illegal in Los Angeles to be homeless, to be poor, to be not have money, right? It's really illegal. You're gonna get tickets. You're gonna find a hard time being poor and walking around and trying to experience this as a place. But some of the good things about it is, Los Angeles, like much of California, has a really strong progressive community organizer culture. And so that means lots of youth empowerment, lots of organizing, really on the cutting edge of really thinking about these issues. And so we have a lot of good policy around living communities and accessible transportation and micro farming and taking over lands to repurpose for growing food or making, shade canopies and all those different things. We have those things. Obviously, they need to be bigger, they need to grow, but there's always that burbling under the surface just because of the history and the culture of the place. So in the future, we really wanted to look towards those things that we like, those community spaces where folks can come, they can gather, they can promote and really feel a part of the place. We talked about how LA is a city of transplants, but really embracing that and talking about let's promote and bring more folks into the city like we used to do. And the reason why we don't anymore is because, we're not situated for that now. But let's get back to where we can start welcoming more people in and saying this is a place for you. Move away from hostile agriculture, really start building little communities within these communities and neighborhoods. I think there was an example of, every building kind of including a micro farm, tech lab, a storefront, it being fully accessible, little libraries and fruit stands, but then also making sure we're thinking about cooperative ownership. And so in a city that this expensive, can't think about first-time home buying without thinking about cooperative ownership and really collective ownership of, entrepreneurship, businesses, spaces, and homes. And then also really frankly and with open eyes and soberly really tweaking our car culture. We love our car culture out here. It's a huge part of being a Los Angelino and a Californian, but it is not working for us anymore. And so we have to really take some cold eyes, soberly look at that and build a different way that's just more walkable, more accessible to everybody. Yeah, so that's kind of what we talked about. Did I miss anything, Miguel, Colleen?
No, that was great. I think we got it.
Awesome. Thank you guys. We are coming up to that 2-hour mark. So don't feel bad if you have to go. For those who can stay, we would love to have you stay. But with that, we're gonna go to the next. Let's go to Kenya since well, whoever wants to go next. Kenya, Montana. Any volunteers? All right.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, Ariella.
Yeah.
Montana's.
Okay.
Actually, I'm sorry. Can we go with Kenya because I know it's getting late for them.
Oh, yes, of course. I'm
I
sorry.
might want to hop off because it's kind of late at night for them. Sunday night.
Okay.
Sunday.
So that
Are y'all awake over there?
They look really awake.
Yes, we are awake. Wide awake. Wide awake, Jordan.
All right, we'll hear from you guys. Take it away.
all right, I'll go through briefly. We looked at mostly just like the history of Kisumu, how it started, how the people moved there 170 years ago, and how the tradition is still very strong and actually being represented on the national flag. Then we went into some of the highlights of the town, such as the people who are very strong, were actually fighters when they settled. But were also very creative and also have a lot of intellectual capital. Particularly, we focused a little bit on the creative dancers and the creative instruments, but essentially it underlined the determination of the people to claim their space. Some of the issues we discussed around the area are stuff like flooding, which happens a lot, that causes a lot of sicknesses like malaria, which is brought about by the mosquito, TB. There's a high HIV rate. There's a high unemployment rate. That's also causing the young people to be addicted to alcohol or to be alcoholics. We also talked about aquaponics as one of the strong activities that are happening down there, which kind of are being pushed by Felix's team, which are collaborating with Marineland in Florida, which is part of the Great Lakes University, which is the goal is to kind of expand aquaponics fishing into the culture as a source of employment, to fight climate change, and also to regenerate the land. We also went on a little bit and spoke about the trilogy around the culture of the people of Kisumu, which is the land, air, and water. The water being the lake, the air being the large blue sky around the equator that they have, and the land being the red soil. Just going into it, some of the major positives in the community, we focused on the stuff that we wanted to keep, and we talked about that there was nothing really bad that the ancestors really did, so there's nothing to remove. Particularly just trying to highlight the inclination around music and creative arts, particularly big on drums and the nyatiti, which is an 8-string instrument, and we have a few videos there just to kind of show what that looks like. And we also had some views of some of the cultural centers that are there. In terms of just going into the future, we talked about online jobs and trying to connect with infrastructure like Starlink to really leapfrog that gap in connectivity, to be able to support creative learning, online jobs like voice call centers, because the people in the town can speak English very well, so there's no reason to start these kind of ecosystems, particularly the Kisumu film industry, with support of award-winning actors such as Lupita Nyong'o. Then also kind of leveraging Kisumu's attraction, its natural beauty, to create and being able to create the infrastructure to support this industry. So for example, when it rains, there are places you can't go. And so just to help promote tourist attractions, but also to add to infrastructure that allows that accessibility to happen. Some of the other things we talked about were like being able to create sustainable industries, just looking at aquaponics and trying to move away from old cultural practices or old land practices such as sugar farming and eucalyptus farming that over the years have been depleting the land. We talked about in about 20 to 30 years, the population is going to jump 50 to 60%. That's why we really need different ways to grow on the land, and also to be able to regenerate the land. Moving away from stuff like bread and moving into arrowroots, making sure that for example, the international airport is able to cater for international flights, to open up Kisumu as a place. And also making sure that they make proper use of the waterway. The Lake Victoria cuts across 3 African countries, and there is a potential to be able to move logistics better across these three countries. So that was touched on, and also just jumping back to the idea of aquaponics, we discovered that it's being used actually across the world, not just in Kisumu, but in Russia, Sudan, Uganda. And actually it started in Florida with the waterways there. And we saw the potential to connect it to Georgetown as well, because Georgetown also has a water body. So there's also potential to look at, or maybe connect Jordan, you or your dad, to the people running it on the ground, so they can look at how the usage of the waterways is happening. And also, we also touched on that there's a group like this that involves, maybe, I think we talked about, it's called C40, that has 100 governors that does the same thing. They share ideas around cities and trying to figure out solutions that can cut across. So I think our team really appreciated the exercise, and we also discussed being able to rerun this exercise with the youth of Kisumu at a later event, I think, which will be in October or August. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you very much, Max.
Yes.
I hope I didn't leave anything out, Teddy and Felix.
It was crystal clear. The only thing we could have told that for Jordan and the rest is that Barack's father came from that city, which we're very proud of.
Thank you. Thank you all. We're going to go ahead and go to Montana, but first I did want to just shout out, yes, Max, please use this process over and over again. Anybody who's watching this, please do this process for where you're from. We want everybody to take this and use it. All right, go ahead, Ariella.
Hi, thank you so much.
Hi.
And so we talked about the land that we talked about is in Bighorn County, Montana, and it is right next to the Little Bighorn Battlefield National Monument that's currently owned by National Park Services. And then if you look at the top picture, that tiny little bubble, it says Farron Iron. So that's his land. So essentially that's a little piece of a Native American or Indian allotment land that was given by the government back when they signed treaties, essentially allowing natives to have control over their select allotments of land, and it was passed on, through survivorship. And so now it's currently owned by Farron Iron, who we met earlier. And so a little bit about the site. Little Bighorn Battlefield is a historical site and National Park Service area that encompasses the area where a battle took place between Native American encampment and Custer and the 7th U.S. Cavalry on June 25th through 26th, 1876. And so it occurred, and it was funny, we were talking about it, and I was like, wasn't that when we signed the Declaration of Independence? So that was 1776. And so it actually occurred during a celebration of independence. And General Custer was actually considered a Civil War hero, and he died during that battle. So when this happened, there were two sides of the war. There were the Native American encampment and the men, women, and children who fought there and who lost many lives. And then also for the United States government, it was a very sad day because they lost one of their Civil War heroes. So due to the power inequalities, it's really only known about the loss of Custer and his men that died there. And so if you look above at the pictures, those are gravestones of the warriors, not the warriors, the army members that died there. And Custer has a monument where his burial is. And then on the right is the Native American monument that was actually only allowed to be there and built in 1990s. Around that time is when the government said, okay, well, there was another side to this war. There were other people who died here, and we'll let them have a monument. And one of the things that we are still kind of dealing with that happened in the past and through the future is the United States desire to control the narrative and control the land that, it may have two histories too. So they were instructed during the committee by NPS not to make it any bigger than Custer's monument. So for hundreds of years, the family and the survivors of this place, they wanted to go there, but because of the national park restrictions and just the way that the county set up, it's been really difficult for them to have access to their own history that's there. So we want to retain the history of the Sioux, Cheyenne, and Arapaho tribes who were at the battlefield. We would like to preserve it and restore the sovereignty that these tribes once had over all of the land in the U.S. And so for now, we're kind of still struggling. It's been ongoing due to NPS and other entities that are really hesitant and worried about the power kind of transfer. They don't really want Native American presence or ceremonies or input on that land. So that's been one of our biggest obstacles to doing anything here. And if you look at the reservations in Montana, they also deal with the obstacles there. So we deal with a lot of poverty rates, a lot of political corruption and tribal politics due to the BIA's involvement. They have really high suicide rates. And so there's no economy essentially. So in Lame Deer, on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation, it's 2 hours to the nearest town and 2 hours to the nearest emergency room. So there's very, very scarce economic development and opportunity, which leads to mental health issues, economic issues, and then an inability to kind of escape that ongoing cycle that we have in our communities. But I mean, there are still good things. And so one of the good things we discussed is that the Northern Cheyenne has an arts and crafts centers off Highway 212, which is off one of the central highways. And it's an excellent opportunity where Native commerce can happen. So they can sell their jewelry and their artwork and their beads. And that's an opportunity for some of the community to make money. And then there was one Native American tour guide who had allotment land as well. And he just gave talks and had guest speakers come off and do talks and kind of educate the community about Native American movements and things like that. So that was 2 examples of things that we're working out and that we're successful in our area. And so when we talk about the ways to improve it in the future, we mentioned that we need to think outside of the box. We need to find ways that we can include the tribal perspective of history, because I think, as most of these groups know, is that we have a central history that we're told, but that doesn't always include all of our stories. So when we're trying to not only say, hey, that's wrong, that's not how it happened, but we actually now have to kind of create our own histories. And so it's being created and it's transforming in real time, and finding ways to fit everybody has been, it's been ongoing, and it's been difficult having to revisit the past and the traumas that we've gone through while also trying to plan for the future. It's a lot of work, and we're doing it and we're building. And so one of the things that we think would help would be a coalition of all of the tribes who were there to lobby and overrule the NPS restrictions on construction. And I've seen this work remarkably well with the tribes and buffalo and methods of preserving them. So when the tribes group up, just like I think any population groups up and works together to accomplish a single goal, whether it be saving this land or preserving a species or helping to preserve the buffalo like they do in Montana, quite often it tends to work. There's strength in numbers. And so we want this place to be a place where the tribes who were present on the land at the time of the battlefield, and just for the public to come and stay and learn about what happened there through the Native American lens, and for the Native Americans to have their traditional ceremonies and access to this place where their ancestors are buried for cultural and traditional reasons. And so returning leaders, when we talk about leadership of this place, we distinguish the difference between leaders and rulers. And so leaders lead groups of people. They're not elected. They don't overpower people and rule people and just instate rules and laws and tell people what they can and can't do, but they're actually leading and thinking of the whole communities that they're representing when they go in and do this work. And we think that that's a very crucial part of moving forward in the future, is something that we have to change. And so when we talk about dignity, how would this be a place where we can share dignity? And Farron had a great answer, and he said that it has to be restored first. And right now, that's so true. And that also is why when we talk about sustainability, it's like, well, we once had dignity and we once had sustainability on this land not too long ago. About 400, 500 years ago, the plains were untouched and they were flourishing. Buffalo flourished, tribes flourished, plants flourished, the water was clean. We didn't have homelessness. We didn't have these issues that we're dealing with today. And so when we try to think about sustainability and dignity, what the Native American perspective wants to do is kind of bring back some of our traditional cultural ways, because that's all we know. And that's all we know how to improve it. And so that means instilling the good leaders, instilling the true histories, and just through methods that are traditional to us, like storytelling or coming in groups and talking together, not necessarily the traditional academic school route either. So there's different ways that we learn and that we teach that is more kind of interactive and hands-on. And I think sharing that not only with ourselves so that we can restore kind of our identities and our dignities, and we can be proud to say who we are, but so that we can share it with others, because not in a ruler way of this worked and we're going to make everyone do it, but no, here's a successful option that was tried and tested, and we want people to benefit from that all over. And because it only works when it works together all like a system. So everyone everywhere contributes their part, and that's what makes the whole thing go. It can't just be certain areas or people or places that are disconnected and left out. And so we also talked about terradomes, which require less heat in winter and cooling this summer. The homes are actually built within the earth, and the soil being on top and surrounding it has a better way of just kind of keeping the temperature temperate and moderate, because it blocks from obviously the elements and harsh things like that. And then additionally, we were talking about geothermal energy and technology, for instance, using it to create measures of growing food in harsh conditions. So we love citrus fruits, Native Americans, especially in Montana. And so it does have harsh winters with tons of snow. And so we were talking about geothermal to possibly to be able to recreate, the ability to have citrus in our communities. We traditionally used to trade, and we used to travel all over the country down into Mexico and all over the continent and things like that. But, we were kind of pushed to reservations. So a cool thing would be expanding traditional trade items like the citrus fruits for people to enjoy, but in a sustainable way. So we're not taking a bunch of energy and wasting it trying to put a greenhouse or a tropical environment in the middle of the snow in Montana. And so looking at sustainable options that aren't going to take energy is really important. Additionally, we did lose a lot of juniper, cedar, and fire trees during fire seasons in the 80s. And so we were thinking about ways that we could create water in traditional systems to help, grow trees, to have gardens, and to create, wildlife habitats. That's all important to us. So that's something that we're hoping for the future. And then in addition, we love games. We're very competitive. We love to have fun. So I was thinking for the youth, as far as that goes, is trying to find interesting ways to include youth in traditional and in like modern day groups. So that's why I personally love soccer. I think that would be something to where we can have soccer tournaments that would allow the Native youth and just youth in general to kind of travel to these different land sites, and along with playing soccer and having fun and getting to run around, which is the fun part, we can include little snippets about our culture, the land that we travel to play these games, like where is it, who lives here, what's their history, and things like that. In addition, traditional games and sports were important to include. So we have horse racing, arrow throwing tournaments, and other traditional games and measures of storytelling. So we just want it to be a place where it's going to be sustainable. No one's losing out by us establishing kind of more of a Native presence on this land, but only the natives and everyone around them are going to benefit, whether it's through the economic opportunity that we're putting in Montana where they don't have much right now, through the sustainability options, showing people around us and near us like, hey, this works out. And additionally, just the community aspect of it, because it's hard when you don't have homes and economies and cultures and things like that. Just having a place where we can kind of come and work together and either talk about these problems or celebrate the past or share cultures, I think is really important. And so that's about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ariella. I already see in the chat some connections happening. Thank you all for sticking around. We're going to go through Georgetown, South Carolina, and then we're going to open it up just for any connections across places. But of course, you can feel free to jump anytime you have to. For Georgetown, South Carolina, Miss Jeanette or Dad, do you guys want to take the lead on this?
Well, but I'm going to leave it to Ms. Graham, and let me just say this. Globally, we all addressing the same issues and problems, and we need to come up with a solution where we can all work together to benefit our communities. Housing. We're talking about lack of employment, communities that are being discarded, and history that's being forgotten. So these are the things that we face in Georgetown, along with the other situations and problems you're having in communities across this globe. So, Ms. Jeanette, go ahead and take over. Is she still, Jeanette?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I lost my connection there for a moment. What can I say? Georgetown is a small southern town. We're not anywhere near any of the size of any of the other participants, but yet still we have basically, it seems like, the same problems. A couple of our main problems are affordable housing for our seniors, for everyone, but especially for the seniors. We just recently had a entire development closed by the city of Georgetown, housing development. I think the last day is sometime in June, and they just gave these people a couple of weeks notice and they were gone. And there's no place here in Georgetown for them to go to. We don't have a shelter. Like I said, we're a small town. Our senior citizen center is very small, but we do stick together. And so whatever we can do to help those who have been displaced by the government, specifically the city government of Georgetown, we will help them in any way we can. one of our main purposes here in Georgetown, besides housing, is the port. That's where all the ships and whatever come into. They establish a lot of jobs for people here in Georgetown, and right now it's closed. So that's a bone of contention for us, is trying to get that port reopened, as well as trying to find suitable housing for the people that have been displaced by the closing of their housing authority. As you can tell, Georgetown's city council or city government is not very compliant when it comes to the underdog. If you're on top, they'll stay on top with you. But once you start sinking, they're going to let you go down by yourself. We need to establish with our government some type of protocol where we can work with them in getting senior citizen housing or low income housing built. They have things here in Georgetown that they call senior citizen housing, but it's not really senior citizen when it comes to income and stuff. It's just one of those things. And unfortunately, our city council is comprised of a lot of real estate people. And so they're looking only to fill their pockets, whatever they can do to increase their income. They're not looking at the people that are being displaced and have nowhere to go. We need to focus on that. Also, our educational system is starting to falter. If we don't get enough information and substantial ways to our young people, we're not going to keep them here. We need to have jobs and facilities and things that once these students finish their college education, that they will say, well, I'm going back to my hometown, Georgetown. I can do something there. I can help them here and there. But there's nothing that offers that to them. And we can't blame them for not coming back. We have an alumni association of which I am a president, Howard High. That was the only Black school in Georgetown at one time. And we give scholarships out every year to help students continue their education. And, you know, they're thankful for it, and we understand that, but they don't come back to Georgetown to use what they've learned because there's nothing here that appeals to them. We need to focus on our educational system. We need to get our students, those who are not on top of the scale of that they use to grade people, but there are students who use their hands, who use other things. When I was in high school, and I won't say how many years ago that was, they had trade and industrial. The young men were taught how to work with wood and steel and stuff like that. The young ladies were taught home economics, how to set a table, how to make an apron, things like that. But in the past years, all that has been eliminated. And there are a few technical colleges around that offer these, but I'm sure a lot of people are not aware of it because they think once you have to go to college, it has to be 4 years. It does not have to be 4 years if you're interested in being in the trade and industrial area of the town. We have International Paper Company. We have the Georgetown Steel Mill. We have other businesses that are here in Georgetown that offer certain things, but not enough to keep our young folks, the 18 to 35-year-olds here. And that's what we really need to do. They are our future. I graduated from high school in 1965, so you know how old I am. So but we need those behind us to be ready to pick up the torch and continue to keep Georgetown the city that it is. We are very small. We don't have that many people, but the west end of Georgetown, which is the predominantly Black area of Georgetown, has lost a lot of its vitality and whatever. The Howard Alumni Association has come together and we've put together what is called the West End Heritage Center. And we try to bring back to the community and let them know what was here 50 years ago and what could still be established here in our vicinity if we all stuck together. There are many, many vacancies, lots and stuff here, and we don't have any um, mom and pop shops on the West End. Whereas back when I was a kid, there was at least 60 of them there. But due to economic development and uh, people leaving the area and whatever, it all died out. So now there are no small businesses except for one or two on the West End, which, as I said, um, encompass a lot of Georgetown. And we need to get those small businesses back on the West End so that our people can flourish and have something to offer their grandchildren and whatever when the time comes. We have to right now go out of our area to work most of the time, unless you're in education, and that needs to be upgraded also. But what we need to do is, our main thing is housing. That is the main element here in Georgetown. We have no affordable housing for those of us of low income and our seniors. It's sad, and the government that is here right now is not interested in helping the low budget. They want to focus on whatever brings the tourism and thus to Georgetown. And the West End could do that if they would just give us some help. We need help to establish more than the West End Heritage Center. We need other things to let them know that there is very much a lot of history that encompass Georgetown that is also on the west end of Georgetown, not just uptown on Front Street where all the stores and the big businesses and the historical homes are. We have much heritage on the West End. We have the International Paper Company. We have a graveyard that was built by slaves that was buried behind the International Paper Company that we just recovered. We have Howard High School, which at one time was the only black high school in Georgetown. We have many churches and stuff on the West End that need to be brought to the forefront of the public so that we can get some of the historical notification and funds that are being contributed to only the uptown side of Georgetown. The West End has to beg, borrow, and steal for everything that we get. And we're trying to accomplish that any way we can. We need help, and we would appreciate if the city and county of Georgetown would look into helping us keep our heritage the way that it was established by our parents and grandparents and others that were in Georgetown during that time. Jordan's grandparents, especially her grandmother, she was a teacher at Howard High School. She taught senior literature and English. Great lady. And she instilled in all of us that we could do anything we put our mind to, and we had the courage to complete. So there is a lot of history here, not only from the Barber family, but from other families in the west end of Georgetown. And we would just like to get that out to the public and let the rest of Georgetown and the tourists that come in here know that they can come on the other side of Fraser Street, which is the division line, and see great things and meet great people and have a good time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Ms. Graham. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's amazing.
Okay.
I want to just quickly say a couple of things. One, it's very interesting. I think at the back of at the end of Kenya, somebody said, I think that's where Barack Obama's dad's from. I think Michelle Obama's people are actually from Georgetown, South Carolina area. So that's interesting. Just a weird, coincidence. But I want to say to everyone a big thank you. I would love to just open up the conversation if there's anything anybody wanted to say, just reflections. If anybody wants to share anything, give us any feedback. Now would be the time. I would love to just hear from you all. I think there's amazing connections between what's going on in the different places. Go ahead, Aria. Yeah, anybody just jump in.
If I can share, well, thank you, Jeanette, for sharing for on behalf of Georgetown. But I think you said it perfectly. Like what we need to have right now is courage, and I think that that's something that we were kind of like leaning towards. I just couldn't find the answer, so it's been great to kind of learn about everything that you guys want to do because I've seen the commonalities, and also like you've helped me kind of understand something that we can adopt from that. So thank you so much, and it's been amazing to hear from everybody today.
Yes. Ariel, that made me remember from going off of what you guys were talking about in Montana, that the things that we're looking for today are things that were done in the past. You know, being able to live off the land and have community and have dignity and have the innovation and have it shared for the better and quality life of all. You know, that's what we want to get back to. And we want to get to a time we want to get to a time where people are not being exploited for everything, and instead can directly just benefit from community and lifestyle that we all have such an abundance of. We have an abundance of resources, abundance of knowledge, abundance of people who want a good and better world, and we seem to be trapped in the system and a society and a game that has been based on exploitation. And it's just, you know, the continuing of having to free ourselves from that, which I believe in. Just like Ms. Graham said, for my grandma, yeah, I really believe in it, and I think that as we keep believing in it and keep talking about it and keep making it happen, it's gonna actually happen. So, I just wanted to throw that in there. Anybody else?
Yeah, thanks very much, Jadine. I'm actually very inspired with this conversation that you've had today, because in my work at CAVU, which is Climate Advocates Bosses Unidas, and also in a book that I wrote called I Am From, it occurred to me that the more we go back to the past is how we can solve actually the present problems. And you have articulated that so well. So thank you for that. And I thank also Max for bringing us together here. And in August 25th to the September 1st, we'll be doing something called Festag, Africa.org. It's actually a festival for Black people and Africans from all over the world. And I'll ask the organizers to share this process, so that, because I'm very curious to see what the young people or even the old people of Kisumu City would make out of the questions that we've just asked in the rooms, in the different rooms. So thank you for that. And if you share your email, I'll send you some information about Climate Innovation Challenge that we do, so that you can share with the youngsters that you work closely with. I don't know what state. I don't know whether you're in Florida or if you're in Green. I don't know where you are at the moment.
Well, I'm in Los Angeles, but I'm from Georgetown, South Carolina. So
Okay, no problem. So I'm gonna share with you, if you kindly just send for me your email, or I'll get it from Max, and then I'll send you more about the Climate Innovation Challenge. So we won a 2020 Emmy Award for it, for helping third graders to 18-year-olds to do 2 to 4 minute videos about their environmental challenges. And we're also planning to do an Indigenous COP25. So I'm going to invite Ariel. It's going to be in Santa Fe. Yeah. So thank you, everybody, on the call. And I hope both Jardine and Max can bring us together again. And I'm looking forward to sharing the presentation that has come out of this with the people of my city of Kisumu, because I think it will be a very good challenge to them on how to use this kind of digital platforms for progressive engagements and just chit-chatting. Thank you. Thank you.
thank you.
Maybe I can also jump in. I remember I didn't introduce myself initially. From Kenya. My name is Felix. Thank you so much, Max, for putting us in this session. Basically, we've learned a lot in the process. I myself have. And also the connectivity. It's kind of clear that we all are facing pretty much almost the same problems. In Africa, I'm also Africa chapter chair for ESRAG, which stands for Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group, which means I oversee all the climate action environmental projects in Africa for Rotary. And so there's so much we could share. In fact, if Max could have had the time, basically we'll have been there forever. But since he's locally here, so which means I can get hold of him, we'll have continuing conversations on the same. I also wanted to be able to link up with Howard University. So if I can have the email address, the lady, was that Janet, who's an alumni lead?
Okay, so Howard University is a university. Howard High School is in Georgetown, South Carolina. It was once a all Black high school in the time of segregation. So it's not Howard University. It's just Howard High School in Georgetown, South Carolina. But I can still connect you guys if you want to, because she's the president of the Alumni Association, Howard High School.
That's cool. That's cool.
So, and I don't know when we'll have the next one, but I want to be part of each and every single session you have. There's so much. I know I didn't get to meet everybody, talk to everybody, listen to everybody, but I'm hoping these conversations can continue. So I'm looking towards the next session that you'll have.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And we will let everybody know about the next session. And we'll also share our contact information through your point of contact. So you guys can send us any information. Please let us know about your different events, festivals, everything that you guys have been sharing. Please remind us. We will come through. We will support and shout out. This is all about collaboration. We would love to promote all the work that your organizations and all the work that you guys are doing. Thank you so much. Anybody else before we wrap up? Yes.
I can interject something I was just thinking about too, because it was brought up connectivity. I might tear up, but it's like I was invited onto this project through Jordan, and through learning about South Carolina as an Indigenous person, like I learned that Georgetown and these places, like Georgetown was a huge city, and there's all these ports that were set up because like it was once an Indigenous established trade route. And typically, like just like with Los Angeles, these big Indigenous trade routes were also taken over, and they're now American ports. But in the discovery, like I found out that like South Carolina was a part of my homelands as a Native person. So even though I didn't grow up learning about it, like the opportunity to be able to work with Jordan in this project through the Greenprint and in Georgetown has been so amazing. And it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity. And so, I mean, the bigger tribes like that I'm from, they don't technically know this knowledge. It's kind of brand new. And so I feel really lucky and honored to be able to be working on this. And I mean, as far as Georgetown's concerned, to me, like it is an Indigenous community, like to be able to see what's going on and to be able to improve like where I come from, just like I help tribes do on their own homelands, has been a true blessing. And so I'm really grateful for everybody, and we are all connected and related, whether we like it or not. So thank you.
Thank you, Ariella. That is so beautiful. Thank you so much. Honestly, with that, I really want to, unless does anybody else want to say anything else before we go?
Just one thing, Jordan, just want to make sure that we collect all the resources. I think Teddy, Jamaica, everyone had books, just somewhere where we can collect them all, and just so we can disperse that information. So I don't know if everyone still has access to the mirror board, but that'd be great. Like I really want to read everyone's books.
For sure. I have the mural board. I'm saving the chat.
Thank you.
Yes, please put the name of your book in the chat. I'll go back to Jamaica because I don't think she put her book on the mural board. But I will definitely send all that information to everyone who attended today. But also we want to promote that on our social as well, so we can promote you guys as well. And Teddy, did you have something that you wanted to say? Thank you. Okay, got you. Oh, you're muted. If you're talking, you're muted.
So I wanted to put I wanted to first to say to join Ariella in saying a Hopi Indian saying, which is we're the ones we've been waiting for.
Mm.
Yeah. So I'm gonna look for the full poem and send it to Max so that she can share it with you. It was the inspiration of also my book, Son of the Nile. So I'll send the website where you can find the books. So thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Anybody else before we close out?
I just want to add that I'm super happy. I feel like we've done a lot today. And I'm really excited to see what kind of good stuff comes out of these meetings going further down the line. So again, thank you to everyone that made this happen.
Thank you. You guys, thank you so much. I do want to just do the closing real quick for the live stream. Once I close out the live stream, we can still keep on the Zoom for any like team housekeeping, or if anybody wants to stick around just to, chit chat, that's fine. Colleen, would you be able to put up the thank you slide? I just wanted to say, thank you so much to all the guests who are joining us today. I want to thank everyone who is watching right now and in the future. If you are inspired and want to contribute to the work that the Greenprint is doing, please visit creategreenprint.com. There you can donate, you can find out about volunteering, and you can find out about upcoming events. Thank you so much. And please remember that connection is the cure. Thank you.